Hello everyone, got a few dirty jokes for you today. So a woman is at the gynecologist having an examination. After a while, the doctor looks up and says, "You have the biggest hole I've ever seen in my life." Offended, the woman replies, "Well, you don't have to say it twice." The doc says, "I didn't, must have been the echo." So a guy orders a beer. The bartender fills the mug and slides it down the bar. It hits the blonde woman's boobs and splashes all over them. The bartender goes over, retrieves the mug and licks the beer off her chest. Each time the guy calls for another beer, this happens. So after his third beer, he decides to help the bartender out. The next time the bartender hit her boobs, the man jumps up and starts to lick her breasts, and she decks him. He is laying on the floor, moaning, "Geez, lady, why do you let the bartender do it?" "Duh," says the blonde. "He has a liquor license." So Adam was wandering around the Garden of Eden feeling very lonely. So God asked him, "What's wrong, Adam?" Adam replied, "I don't have anyone to talk to." God said, "I have the perfect solution. I'll create a companion for you. She'll be called a woman. She'll gather food for you, cook for you, and when you discover clothing, she'll wash it for you. She'll always agree with every decision you make, bear your children, and never wake you up in the middle of the night to take care of them. She'll never nag and will always admit when she's wrong in any argument. She'll never have a headache and will be happy to give you love and affection whenever you want." Adam was amazed. "Wow, that sounds incredible. What will a woman like that cost?" God replied, "An arm and a leg." Adam thought for a moment and then asked, "What can I get for a rib?" And the rest, as they say, is history. So a group of Americans was touring Ireland. One woman in the group was a real curmudgeon, constantly complaining. "The bus seats are uncomfortable. The food is terrible. It's too hot. It's too cold. The accommodations are awful." The group arrived at the famous site of the Blarney stone. The tour guide said, "Legend has it that if you kiss the Blarney stone, you'll have good luck for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, it's being cleaned today, so no one will be able to kiss it. Perhaps we can come back tomorrow." "We can't come back tomorrow," the nasty woman snapped. "We have another boring tour to go on. So, I guess we can't kiss the stupid stone." "Well," the guy said, "it's said that if you kiss someone who has kissed the stone, you'll have the same good fortune." The woman rolled her eyes. "And I suppose you've kissed the stone?" she scoffed. "No," the guide replied with a sly smile, "but I've sat on it." So a woman pregnant with her first child paid a visit to her midwife. After the exam, she nervously said, "My husband asked me to talk to you about something." The midwife smiled knowingly and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I know what you're going to ask. I get this question all the time. Don't worry, making love is perfectly safe until late in the pregnancy." The woman blushed and shook her head. "Oh, no, that's not it," she said. "He wants to know if I can still shovel the driveway." Well, late one afternoon, the Air Force personnel at Area 51 were shocked to see a Cessna landing at their secret base. They immediately impounded the aircraft and hauled the pilot into an interrogation room. The pilot explained that he had taken off from Vegas, gotten lost, and spotted the base just as he was about to run out of fuel. The Air Force didn't take any chances. They conducted a full FBI background check on him and held him overnight for questioning. By the next day, they were convinced the pilot was telling the truth. He really was lost and not a spy. They refueled his plane, gave him a terrifying, "You did not see anything" briefing, complete with threats of prison time, and pointed him back toward Vegas. The next day, to the total disbelief of the Air Force, the same Cessna showed up again. This time, the MPs surrounded the plane even faster. Only now, there were 2 people on board. The same pilot jumped out, looked at the armed guards, and said, "Do whatever you want to me, but please tell my wife where I was last night." So, a man wanted an attack dog to protect his business, so he visited a kennel that specialized in attack dogs. He told the kennel owner, "I need the biggest, meanest, most vicious dog you've got." The kennel owner nodded and said, "Follow me. I'll show you around." After walking for a few minutes, they came across a large dog snarling and clawing at the bars of his cage. The man said, "Wow, that looks like a good attack dog." The owner replied, "He's not bad, but I've got something better in mind for you." They kept walking and soon found an even bigger, meaner dog. This one was snapping his jaws and barking ferociously, trying to bite through the wire on his cage. The man grinned. "This has to be the one you meant," he said. "Not quite," said the owner. "I still have something better in mind." They continued the tour and eventually came upon a fairly large dog lying quietly on his side, casually licking his butt. He didn't seem to notice them at all. "This is the dog I had in mind for you," the owner said. The man was stunned. "You've got to be kidding. This dog looks calm and lazy. He doesn't act like an attack dog at all. He's just lying there, licking his butt." The owner smiled. "I know, but you see, he just ate a lawyer and he's trying to get the taste out of his mouth." So a trucker had just driven his rig up a steep hill and was starting down the other side when he noticed a man and woman making love in the middle of the road. He blasted his air horn several times as he approached, but the couple didn't move. Realizing they weren't going to get out of the way, he slammed on his brakes and stopped just inches from them. Fuming, he climbed out of the truck and stormed over to the couple. "What the heck is wrong with you two?" he yelled. "Didn't you hear me? You could have been killed." The man, looking quite satisfied and unbothered, glanced up and said, "Look, I was coming, she was coming, and you were coming. You were the only one with brakes." So one evening, the rescue squad was called to the home of an elderly couple after the gentleman suffered what seemed to be a heart attack. By the time they arrived, it was too late. The man had passed away. While comforting the wife, one of the rescuers noticed the bed was in disarray and asked her if the man had shown any symptoms or if anything unusual might have led to the heart attack. The lady replied, "Well, we were in bed making love when he started moaning, groaning, thrashing about, panting, and sweating. I thought he was coming, but I guess he was going." So a lawyer, sitting next to Blonde on a long flight, was pestering her to play a game. "I ask you a question, and if you don't know the answer, you pay me, and vice versa." The blonde politely declined and tried to get some sleep. The lawyer made another offer. "Okay, if you don't know the answer, you pay me $5. But if I don't know the answer, I will pay you $1,000, the blonde agreed. The lawyer asked the first question, "What's the distance from the Earth to the moon?" The blonde silently reached into her purse, pulled out a $5 bill, and handed it to the lawyer. Then she asked the lawyer, "What goes up a hill with 3 legs and comes down with 4?" and went back to sleep. The lawyer did research on his iPhone, called his buddies, etc., all to no avail. After over an hour, he gave up. He woke the blonde up and handed her $1,000 and asked, "Well, so what is the answer?" Again, without a word, the blonde reached into her purse, handed the lawyer $5, and went back to sleep. So a blonde had been married for about a year when one day she came running up to her husband, jumping for joy. Not knowing what was going on, he started jumping up and down with her. "Why are we so happy?" he asked. "Honey, I have some really great news," she said, beaming. "That's fantastic," he replied. "What's the news?" She stopped jumping and took a deep breath. "I'm pregnant," she exclaimed. The husband was over the moon. He hugged her tight, kissed her, and said, "This is amazing. I can't believe it. I am so happy." She smiled and said, "Oh, honey, there's even more." "More?" he asked, looking confused. "What do you mean, more?" "Well," she said, "we're not just having one baby, we're going to have twins." The husband was stunned. "Twins? But how do you know so soon?" She grinned and said, "It was easy. I went to the pharmacy and bought a 2-pack of home pregnancy tests, and both of them came out positive." So a ventriloquist is performing at a bar with his dummy, telling joke after joke about blondes. The audience is roaring with laughter, and the ventriloquist keeps going, spurred on by the applause. Everyone is having a great time, everyone, except for one woman sitting at the back. With her blonde hair and icy stare, it's clear she's not amused, but she stays silent, letting him continue. As the night goes on, the ventriloquist reaches his final joke. The laughter and applause fill the room, but the blonde can't take it anymore. She storms to the front of the stage, her face red with anger, and starts unloading on him. "How dare you stand up here and make everyone think blondes are stupid? I'll have you know that I'm a natural blonde, and I've graduated from several colleges, nearly top of my class in everyone. This whole act has been an insult to me and every blonde out there. I can't believe the owner of this bar even allowed you to perform tonight. I demand an apology." The ventriloquist, realizing how upset she is, tries to calm her down. "Miss, I'm so sorry if my jokes offended you. I didn't mean..." She cuts him off sharply. "You stay out of this. I'm talking to the little guy." "So, I've suspected for a while now that my girlfriend has been seeing someone else. You know, the usual signs. The phone rings," I answer, and someone hangs up. "She started going out with the girls a lot lately, but whenever I ask which girls, it's always just some friends from work." "You don't know them." I try to keep an eye out for her taxi when she comes home, but instead of seeing a taxi pull up, she always walks down the driveway, and I hear a car driving off around the corner. Is it not a taxi? Why would she get out of a car around the corner? Once, I picked up her phone just to check the time, and she went berserk, yelling that I should never touch her phone again and accusing me of checking up on her. Anyway, I've never confronted her about it. I guess, deep down, I didn't want to know the truth. But last night, she went out again, and I decided I needed to know for sure. So I hid behind my car, which gave me a good view of the whole street. I figured I'd finally see which car she gets out of. While I was crouched behind my car, I happened to notice some rust around the rear wheel arch. So now, I'm wondering, should I take it to a body repair shop, or just buy some stuff from the auto shop and try to fix it myself? John showed up at his friend's house unannounced and asked if he could spend the night. His friend, apologetic for not having an extra room, offered 2 options. You can sleep on the floor in the living room, or you can sleep in the room with baby. John chose the floor. The next morning, he went to the bathroom and encountered a stunning young blonde. "Hi," he said. "I'm John. Who are you?" She smiled and replied, "I'm Baby." "And you?" John said, "I'm Stupid."